You're listening to Ask Dr. Jake. My name is Dr. Jake Tucker. I'm the owner and founder here at Good Life Family Chiropractic on the south side of Lincoln, serving you for the last several years. And we are excited today to bring you another episode of hope, health, and wholeness and healing. And today I wanted to talk to you about something that is just completely ignored by our healthcare system. And I know if you've been listening to this show, I am on a mission. I really am, because, and I got into chiropractic. I actually left the ministry to become a chiropractor because I just didn't feel God's call into a professional vocation as a pastor. However, I definitely felt that God wanted me to continue to minister through health. And I didn't know what that meant. And it wasn't until I got to chiropractic school that my mom even told me the story of how my chiropractic journey had started. But it was a chiropractor that actually saved my life when I was a baby. I had breathing problems all the time. And this last week, my son almost died from the exact same issue. He had gotten kicked in the head by his sister that morning. And by the time he got to daycare and went down to take his nap, he quit breathing for the first time. They resuscitated him. He started seizing. I got to him just as quick as I could. It was in the emergency room, and he was shaking, and he was uncontrollable, barely breathing. And I got to him, and I began to comfort him. I began to pray for him. And instinctively, I went to his spine. And right at the top of the neck is a bone called atlas. Atlas is named appropriately because your entire skull sits on top of it, but your brainstem, it exits down through it, and its job is to surround and protect your brainstem. But Atlas was so far misaligned, it was actually creating a disruption in his brainstem that was keeping him from breathing and keeping his brain from properly functioning. And so I adjusted him. And as I adjusted him, he began coming out of that seizure. He began relaxing. He began breathing normally. And I handed him to his mom, and he wanted to nurse. And so she started breastfeeding him, and then he fell asleep, and it was such a restful sleep. And, he woke up a few minutes later because they wanted to just stick him with a needle and take a blood sample. And he was healthy. We ended up spending over $100,000 on tests over the next 3 days, trying to figure out, was there anything worse that created the seizure? Was the atlas misalignment a side effect of the seizure or of the breathing problem, or was it the cause? And ultimately, all of the tests came back negative. Every single test pointed to him being as healthy a kid as they had ever seen in Children's Hospital, that there was no health issues that he was dealing with. And as many times as I told the doctors, look at his neck, his spine is out of alignment, check his nervous system, all they knew to do was an EEG, an MRI, a CT scan, and all of those tests came back normal. Nobody was trained in that hospital. The best of the best, U.S. News and World Report, one of the best pediatric hospitals in the world, and they didn't know how to check his spine. But I did, and I do, and I continue to, and I've checked his spine every day for the last week. And it's so important that we add this into our healthcare system. In fact, that healthcare system is a misnomer. We don't have a healthcare system in this country. We have a sick care and disease management system. If all you do is rely on your healthcare system and your healthcare from someone who specializes in treating diseases, you're just going to end up sick, just like the rest of America. We as Americans are the sickest industrialized nation in the world, and it's not even close. We have more money that we invest into our health than any other country in the world. We have the best doctors in the world here in the United States of America. One of my specialists for my son over the weekend came here from Africa so that he could practice in the most expensive healthcare system in the world. He's one of the best doctors in the world. But it's not working. We invest the most money into a system that's so broken that you can't do anything but get worse when you put more money in. It's like adding gasoline to a fire. It's making us more and more sick, not because they're doing anything wrong. They know how to manage disease. They know how to manage crisis. When you look at the crisis management numbers, our emergency care system does better than any other system in the world. It's our health that's suffering. It's our sickness and disease, and it's our obesity because we're not trained culturally. We don't know how to be healthy. And so that's where I come in. That's what my training is. Chiropractic is the study of life and what causes a man to live. Medicine is the study of disease and what makes a man to die. If you want health, if you want life, you need a chiropractor. Number one, because they're looking at the system that controls all function. The definition of health is a state of 100% optimal function and healing. For you to be healthy, you have to heal and function well. The system that controls that is your central nervous system. For your heart to beat, for your lungs to breathe, for a cut on your leg to heal, a signal has to be able to get from your brain, down your spinal cord, out the nerves, to every organ, cell, and tissue in the body without interference or disruption. Now, there is a system that's designed to surround and protect that system, and that's called your skeletal system. The spine specifically surrounds and protects your brain stem, your spinal cord, and each of the nerve roots as it exits off. And it has a normal position. It should be straight up and down from the front with 3 45-degree curves from the side. When it has that position, there can be no pressure or damage on your central nervous system. But when you move it out of alignment, even 2 millimeters or 2 degrees, it's enough to disrupt the signal between your brain and the organs at the end by 60%. And it's basically like trying to walk down a hallway in the dark that you've walked a million times. Your brain knows what that hallway looks like. It knows generally where the walls are, where the furniture you've placed in it, because it's done it so often. But when you turn off that light switch, guess what happens? You're no longer able to adapt to the environment the way that you used to. If your 2-year-old left her tricycle in the middle of that hallway and you didn't know she put it there, you're more likely to trip over it. And if that accumulates over time, that misinformation or lack of information accumulates over time, there becomes more and more interference to that system. And ultimately, the brain breaks down, the neurology breaks down, and you start suffering from the symptoms of dysfunction and disease, leading to that dysfunction and disease in your body and ultimately leading to an early death. And that's where I intervened. That's where I intervened in the emergency room with my son. And that's where every single emergency room needs a chiropractor. But more importantly, we should be having every person's spine checked before they leave the hospital after birth, because we all go through that same trauma, exiting the birth canal. And whether it's through the birth canal or through C-section, it is a trauma to the spine. I've checked hundreds of children at this point, thousands of adults, and I've yet to find a perfect spine. I've yet to find an unsubluxated spine because we do not take care of our spines. Nobody's there checking it. We go for our annual physical. Nobody's checking our spine to make sure that our nervous system is healing and functioning at 100% unless you're going to a chiropractor. Now, there's over 300 different types of chiropractic out there. Every single one of them works. But here's the thing that I specialize in that's so important. That position of your spine, straight and tall from the front with 3 45-degree curves from the side. There's only 3 techniques right now that address that specifically, that know how to correct the spine back to that. And I practice all 3 techniques in my office. We do advanced structural correction. And if you want to make sure that your spine is in the correct position, if you want to make sure that someone is taking care of it, that knows how to put it there, then call my office, 531-289-7100. Again, 531-289-7100, and we'll set you up for an exam and any necessary imaging or x-rays here in the office for just $65 for the first 5 callers. Normally that would cost you thousands of dollars. One chest x-ray cost me over $1,000 for my son in a crisis. That's not what you have to pay. You don't have to be stuck in a system that overcharges you and underdelivers. What we do here is we address cause. We focus on your health and we focus on getting you well. Once I see your spine and I evaluate your nervous system, we will begin to develop a plan to actually get you healthy and well. We'll sit down, we'll go over those x-rays, and we'll make sure that you understand everything that's going on. Again, that's 531-289-7100. Or you can visit us on the web at goodlifefamilychiropractic.com. And you can also follow along on Facebook. I post videos of these recordings every day with the radio show. Facebook.com/Ask Dr. Jake. Tune in to learn more. But if you want a healthy immune system, if you want to be able to fight off COVID, if you want to be able to fight off the flu, if you want your immune system functioning well, guess what controls that? It's your central nervous system. And Pero and a group of researchers at the University of Stockholm in Sweden in the 1980s. They did research on the immune system and its response to chiropractic care. And what they found is that patients who got adjusted had a 200% greater immune response than patients who didn't. And for patients that had suboptimal functioning immune systems, their response was 400% greater than the control group, because it actually turned their power on. And so that's the hope that we have in chiropractic, is that you can get healthier. It's why patients who come in with flu-like symptoms walk out feeling like they never had the flu in the first place. My son, after his adjustment, has not had a breathing problem since then. Me, after my first adjustment at 6 months old, after 6 months of breathing problems where they didn't know what was going on, but they knew I would die if they didn't intervene. After 6 months, I got my first chiropractic adjustment, and I've never had a breathing problem since. It's not just about breathing, just like it's not just about neck pain, just not just about back pain, not just about headaches. If that's all you're going to the chiropractor for, you're missing the point. Yes, I love it when your neck pain goes away. I love it when your headaches go away. And I'm never surprised when you start sleeping better, when you start digesting your food better, when you start having a healthier metabolism, when your pulse and blood pressure get better. Not that I'm treating those things, but when there's interference in the nervous system that's keeping those things from getting healthier. And then we combine in there the 5 essentials. Taking care of the nervous system, yes, number 1. But number 2, actively looking at what you're putting in your body. Is it building health or is it building sickness and disease? Actively looking at your physical fitness and the lifestyle supporting a healthy metabolism. Are you getting oxygen to every cell in the body? Toxins. Are you surrounding yourself in toxins? Are you supporting your body with the right nutrients to be able to detoxify sufficiently? Stress. How's your mindset? Are you creating an environment of peace, or do you propagate stress in your mind and in your life and in your body by the way that you think and the way that you process information? If that's you, if you're dealing with a disruption in any of those things, let's start at square one. Start with a system that controls all those, because as we get better with removing the interference, all those other things respond better. And we see that over and over in the office. I had a patient come in about 1.5 years ago now that was just dealing with a little bit of low back pain. She was obese. She was dealing with suppressed metabolism. She was dealing with digestive issues, but she was there because her friend said I could help with back pain. I looked at her spine. We found scoliosis. It was a grade 2, unstable. There because she had an unstable spondylolisthesis in her spine. Basically, the disc had given way and was creating an issue in her low back that caused her spine to buckle. I showed it to her and she began to cry, because I was the first doctor that addressed cause for her, that explained to her why she was so heavy, why she was overweight, and why she couldn't lose weight no matter what she was doing. And we began to work. In the next 2 months, she lost 15 pounds. Her scoliosis went from a grade 2 to a grade 1. Her back pain began to go away. Her spine stabilized. And Penny, if you're listening right now, kudos to you, because I did not do that. The power that God placed inside you to heal, He did that. God did that. God bless you all. If you need my help, call my office, 531-289-7100. Have a great Labor Day weekend. I'll see you again on Monday for another episode of Ask Dr. Jake.